Yeah, I mean, I think both those guys kind of explained it perfectly. As a player, no one really explained too much, so I didn't really know what to value or what to look at. Like Joey said, we kind of played around with it, but didn't really know um, exactly what we were looking at. So, it was one of those things where it was like, I think this is supposed to help me, but I don't know how to use it. And so it kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. So, being able to dive into it now on the coaching side and understanding why it's helpful and how to relay that to guys that may be not understanding why we're using it, I think is a huge thing.
Yeah. Get your historical blast data.
Yeah. Probably be kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, we know Bunsy's not going to give us bat speed, so we're going to get it because that he had some juice. So we're going to get a good, hopefully on plane answer to this one. But thanks, Joey. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Bunsy, you want to talk about just tracking data and how it helps athletes, and then where you would use blast to improve your swing?
Yeah, no, I think even kind of going a different route than Bob and Joe went there. Like, yeah, it's great to be able to prove some of the things that you're trying to prove, like what metrics you value and stuff. But even then, you beyond that, you can track workload of guys, or like see when a guy, maybe he's injured and he's not telling you about it because all this stuff is dipped down in the month of July, or something like that. So it kind of gives you a little bit more insight to exactly what's going on with each player, and even if they might not be telling you something. So it's something you can address, whether it be even with the training staff, or athletic training or something going on, or just allows you to just track a guy and be like, hey, maybe he needs a day off today because all this stuff's trending down. So I think that's a way to look at it that I never really thought of, definitely as a player, but now on the coaching side is something that I would look at. I think to answer your question, you're definitely kind of hit the nail on the head with that. If I had to go back, I would definitely guess that anything relating to on plane was probably really bad, because I just swung really hard, and it was a lot of hopefully I got that pitch that I was looking for. Even if I didn't get it, I was probably swinging anyway. So probably would have been a good idea to track exactly where my barrel was going. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it just goes back to, like we said, is knowing your player. So I don't think you should necessarily hide information from them. If they want to understand more, I think you need to take the time to explain what different things mean, whether that be the metrics or whatever else you're looking at. But I think it's also important to know particular guys. You tell them, hey, your on plane efficiency is not very good right here, and you're in a cage setting, and then all of a sudden he's trying to change things, and he's thinking about his on plane efficiency rather than just hitting. So maybe you give that guy a goal of like, hey, drive this ball over the center fielder's head. And then it clicks, and you can be like, hey, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about on-plane efficiency or whatever metric you're looking at. So I just think it's important to know your guy and which guys can think about numbers specifically in a practice setting and which guys you just give goals to, some sort of external goal, and then, kind of see where things go from there. Yeah, it's kind of tough hitting third behind these two guys with the answers they're giving.
Yeah, we might have to mix the lineup up for Bun.
I'll mix one. I'll mix one.
No, but
yeah,
on me.
Bun's just got the creative brain going right now.
It's a tough draw.
Yeah, I'm probably the least creative guy here too.
I'll have Buns go first next.
No, but I mean, like when it comes down to it, the game's different than it's been in the past, and if you're not training accordingly, like, you're going to be falling behind. Whether it be velo, even the velocity of breaking balls now is completely different than it's been in the past. And I think that's just something that you're setting your guys up for failure if you don't expose them to that, even if it's tough, So obviously, I'm definitely not against feel good BP, because some guys need to feel good at some point. Like, if you got a guy that's just been there getting buried, and then you're gonna be like, hey, go to hit off the hack attack for a little bit, like, all right, and then confidence goes down even more. So there's a time and a place for both, and that balance is definitely key. And it might change from guy to guy. Some guys might want a lot of velo right before a game. Some guys might just want some flips, feel good, get in their head that, like, hey, I'm good to go. So I think it really depends on your guys too. So that's the biggest thing.
Gotcha. Bunsy, you were a big feel-good VP guy, huh?
Oh yeah, the hack attack was not a friend of mine. I remember specifically a couple of times going in there and whiffing like the entire round, and then it's like, yeah, dude, my grip on my bat, like the tape was coming off, but no, it was the swing. Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. You know, you go too far one way. I mean, I think with anything in life, the right answer is probably found in the middle in most things. So you go too far one way and you're not challenging guys. You go too far the other way and maybe something's falling apart, you know, that they could work on in a low stress environment. So I think it's all about how you, you know, find the balance and decide what the guy needs to work on. If their metrics and everything look good, then go test it. Go see what it looks like against velo. And if it breaks down, you know, step back. Maybe you have a drill that you're going to work on for this specific reason. And if it looks good, all right, go test it. Okay, pass. All right, we'll keep testing it. And then something else breaks down, you go back and you kind of go back to the drawing board. So I think it just depends on what you're working on or what the hitter needs. Maybe they just need a rest. You know, depends where you're at in the season. If it's spring training, if it's off season, a lot of different stuff goes into it. But you know, I think that's how you maintain that balance of both.
What value do you place on in-game data, just like personally relative to like BP or machine?
I mean, that's the ultimate thing that matters is in-game production. So if you can find a way to correlate how you're training outside of the game with exactly what's going on in the game, and if things are matching up, if they're not, I think it's just the highest form of, like we just talked about, testing. Because it doesn't matter if you can hit really good off the machine with great metrics off front toss or off the tee. If it doesn't matter in the game, like you're not producing, then it doesn't matter. So being able to correlate whatever metrics with success on the field is like the biggest thing. I mean, I think, you know, Bobby and Joe are spot on right there with everything they said. I think a lot of it depends on, and like we've talked about this entire time, communication and the relationship you form with your players. Like if they trust you and they know you have their best interests, then, you know, it's a little bit easier to recommend to a guy like, hey, I think this, or you don't even have to say, I think, maybe you have, hey, this is proof that this will come up at some point, most likely. You're raking now. Maybe we attack this incrementally in a low stress environment during the season. You know, so you're not trying to transform a guy's swing mid-year while he's raking, but you're giving him, you know, a little bit of a, you know, hey, this might get you here. This might help you get to the next level a little bit quicker or stay there longer. So I think it's just, like we said, it goes back to how you communicate with guys, the relationship you form with them, and, you know, going from there. Prioritizing, oh, thanks, Bob. Boom. No, but, you know, because that's one thing that I found out is as you go, especially when I first got involved with blast motions, like I didn't know enough. So I was like, bat speed, that metric popped up first. So like that was, okay, I'll prioritize that, I guess. And then as you go forward, different, like Joey said, different colleges, different organizations value different things. And I think it kind of goes back to having any plan is better than not having a plan. So if you have, no matter what the metrics are specifically, if you have things that you value and you're teaching them accordingly, then guys are going to get better in some way. So it's not necessarily about exactly what you're measuring, but how you're applying it to each hitter. So, you know, that's the biggest thing, in my opinion, is how you get that info to guys and, you know, what you're doing with it.